folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all are surviving the second week of 2021. A buddy of mine shared a meme the other day. It's like, okay, so I'm done with my 7-day free trial. I'd like to cancel my subscription to 2021. Like, I get that, and that's a good meaning right there. Before I get into it, if you like what I've been yapping about, like my opinions or whatever, give me a like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I apologize about being out for 2.5, 3 weeks, but just I posted a video about it, what happened, kind of getting y'all caught up on stuff. So today, what's kind of on my mind is just the sheer and utter hypocrisy about what happened yesterday. And it's both sides are 100% guilty of it. Now I realize not everybody's guilty of it. Both sides of the political aisle are 100% guilty of it. And here's what I mean. Over the course of the summer, you had a lot of people peacefully protest with BLM. My sister-in-law did. I know several of my friends did. Once all that got started, I was back to work and I was side hustling, so I did not have the time. But the peaceful protests that I've told you about that happened in the closest town to me, in the town I grew up in, if I would have been off work and had childcare and all that, I probably would have gone. Anyway, but then you had the more violent aspects of BLM that occurred. No sense recapping all that. And major news networks were sympathetic and, I guess the easiest way to word it, covered for and excused the violence and injuries and destruction of property and whatnot that happened due to these protests. Separate the two. Okay, so now the same people that 6 months ago were saying if you had a job you wouldn't have time to be out in the streets tearing up everything and burning stuff down have gone to DC and made themselves look like fools. And I don't use that word lightly. And then the same people that were making excuses for violent protests and riots all summer are now saying this is absolutely inexcusable behavior, that we as a country should never tolerate stuff like this, and there's no need for this sort of behavior and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Everyone's stupid that's come down like that. I thought that the more violent aspects of BLM shouldn't have been tolerated. I thought that law enforcement should have been allowed to go in and do what needed to be done to disperse it and arrest the offenders. And I thought that the peaceful element of BLM should have been allowed to do what they wanted to do. And I think that the DC protesters, there were millions of people. I think the number was a little over 1 million people there. So, sure, they can, go do what they want to do. They can rip and run and carry their signs and yell and chant and protest and whatnot. But once you start trying to storm secure buildings, you get what you get. So, I just think that people are being such hypocrites, being ignorant of their own blind sides, in a sense. And it annoys the crap out of me. You know, I wish that the institutional media, the stuff that you can get when you turn on the TV, would at least be honest with themselves and with their audience members about what's going on. You know, the violent aspect of Black Lives Matter was very bad. Them protesting in the streets, First Amendment rights, do it all day long. The protests in the streets in support for Trump yesterday, First Amendment speech, do it all day long. The violent and criminal aspect of those protests, storming the Capitol, call it out. But do it fair. So, that's kind of what I got on this one, folks. That's my opinion. The people are hypocrites. And the thing is, like, I'm seeing it all over, not just in the news. You know, I got people that were making up, I got friends that were making up every conceivable excuse for Black Lives Matter, torching private businesses and looting and everything else, who are now calling these people ignorant and stupid and law-breaking. They need to go to jail and be shot and da-da-da-da-da-da. You don't get to have it both ways. Either a thing is or isn't violent act of domestic terrorism, sedition, and treason, or it isn't. Whether the message is something you agree with or not, it either is or it isn't. So, call it honest. I'm tired of the double standards in all media. I watched some, I think it was CNBC and maybe CNN in the past 24 hours due to work schedule. And they were definitely calling out these protesters and rioters and, you know, saying what they should have said 6 months ago about the more violent aspects of BLM. Okay. Then you've got, and like I said, I haven't watched Fox, but if I had to guess, there's a lot of excuse making for some aspects of what happened yesterday. So, I'm tired of it. I wish that they would either be honest or people would start seeing through them and their subscription rates would drop their viewership would drop so low that they can't afford to stay in business, and then even if they're biased, at least honest sources would come into existence. If you report 100% accurate on the facts, or 98% accurate on the facts, and then we'll do an honest retraction when you make a mistake, but I disagree with your political commentary as far as like, okay, here's this 5 set of facts, here's what they mean to you as a conservative. And then there's someone across the aisle that will see the exact same 5 set of facts and read them a different way. If you're 98% accurate, 99% accurate, and we'll do retractions when you screw up, I don't care if I 100% disagree with you, I'll listen to you just because you get the news right. And so many of these news organizations are just shooting themselves right in the credibility. And so I think it's time for a lot of them to just go under. There's news sources to get news all over, and they're way more accurate. They're at least honest.